We would like you to welcome you back to hashtag #TalkToWFTDA, our community call-in show. We are your hosts. I'm Ref in Peace, also known as Rip. My pronouns are he, him. I'm an ex-skater, volunteer referee for well over a decade, and I live in New York City.
And I am Chai Kielski, aka Chai. My pronouns are she, her. I am a skater and announcer living in Denver, Colorado.
If you missed out on last week, the premise of the show is to host a community-driven discussion on preset topics each week. The purpose is to provide an avenue for people to be heard by the WFTDA and wider Derby community as a whole, regardless of league membership, affiliation, or social media following. We are volunteers on the WFTDA shows and content team, making media for the Derby community with WFTDA resources.
Our role as hosts is to welcome guests, explain how the show works, introduce the topics, and give opening remarks. We won't be taking questions unless they are about how the show operates. To call into the show, please make sure you join the Discord server. One of our producers will take your information and place you in the queue. It's best to have a precise statement ready, as we hope to hear from as many people as possible in the allotted time. We suggest about a minute per caller. If you do not have Discord, you may use hashtag #TalkToWFTDA, which our producers are monitoring on Twitter and Instagram, and we will do live reads as time allows.
We'd also like to acknowledge that Chai and I are both cis white people who live with privileges that many of our community do not have. We acknowledge that this showtime is not currently convenient for many in the community outside the continental United States. The show will be recorded and posted to YouTube after the event. And most importantly, we recognize the lack of Black, Indigenous, and people of color or BIPOC representation on our volunteer team. If you would like to host this show, or another show, or pitch your own show, please contact the WFTDA shows and content team at broadcast@quadmedia.tv. Since last week's show, we've already had a couple more volunteers join our production staff, so thank you to them for joining. We'd like to start this week by looking back at last week's topic of supporting Black skaters. We are inviting back Jumpy McGee, whose timely comments were cut off due to technical issues. So, Jumpy, you're on the air. Hello, Jumpy.
Hear me okay?
Hi, Jumpy.
Hey, happy Monday.
Happy Monday back to you.
Did it through another one.
Yeah.
So, Jumpy, you got disconnected last week, and we had to finish the show due to time. Would you mind continuing where you left off from last time?
Yeah, absolutely. First, it's big. I've had.
I'm sorry, we seem to be having some more difficulties. Not exactly hearing you right now.
Hang on.
Is that better?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
All right. I had headphones on, and sometimes they work and sometimes don't. So that's how it goes. So hopefully you can hear me now.
Yep.
Okay, great. So first, before I jump back into what we were talking about last week, I just wanted to give a really big shout out for a couple Indigenous initiatives that have had a really big couple of days. The first being the team who shall not be named, finally having some movement on changing their incredibly offensive name. That's really and then the second is a huge victory, the Dakota Access Pipeline being ordered to halt from the federal courts and can continue to work right now. So those are two really, really huge things at a national level. I just thought there have been so many people within the Derby community and outside of the Derby community ton of time and effort and energy, and blood, sweat, and tears into initiatives. And so I just really wanted to shout out and say congratulations. You know, the work's not done, but they're two really, really big victories that should be celebrated. Yay!
Definitely good news.
So now moving back into the Derby community and picking up kind of where I left off. So, you know, we talked a little bit about, you know, the initiatives that community are starting to take on and really give some focus to everything that's been happening around the world. And as we look at creating this change within the community, I think it's really important to recognize that while we have an urgency to create this space for BIPOC folks, we also have to remember critical part of this equation is creating a relationship and creating a connection. So you should always, not just in this time, but always outside of this time too, be, you know, creating and building relationships and connections with the BIPOC community because of all the talent they bring to the table and all of the knowledge they have as humans and all of the things that they can do for this sport. So not just in this time of crisis, but we should be making these all of the time, to be elevating these all the time, not just when we need something from. That's something that you know, a league level, at a team level, at an organizational level, we need. We're asking our BIPOC friends to help us do this work and do this work for them. We also want to make sure that we're establishing relationships and connections and not just asking to, can you do this thing for me? And this is what I need. So really taking the time, establishing trust, doing so with authenticity. Second thing is just really, you know, systemic change is happening. There's a rhythm to it. There's timing, patience has to happen. We have to also balance those things with the sense of urgency. So it's not just we're going to throw all of these initiatives at something and hope something sticks. We need to be super thoughtful about what we want to do, how we want to invite communities to work with us. And so ready for the assist as an organization. Also be patient enough to force it, not to try and make something happen just because we want to fix, quote unquote, something broken. I'm myself a fixer. I really want to make things better and try and, you know, improve a situation. And as us fixers find it often hard to do, is have that patience to take a beat and to wait that those relationships develop before we try and jump. Really just encouraging everyone, take a pause, take a breath. Let's make sure we're putting the right initiatives into place. So when, along those lines, when we're looking at new ideas and new content to implement, we want to be more inclusive for our BIPOC community, making sure that we have a really safe space that to happen and a safe space for them to respond and create that content. And so, you know, this is a really wonderful show. I really think it's a great way to include community. I think as we're having discussions around BIPOC issues, just sorry, my son is like squeezing a squeezy toy for my dogs when I specifically said, hey, I need you to be quiet for 10 minutes. You know, making sure that when creating those spaces, they are inviting and inclusive of BIPOC hosts and BIPOC organizers, so that when you're going into those spaces, you, again, heard it from Indigenous, you've heard it from Roller Derby, you've heard it from diaspora. It's really hard to go in space no one else like you. If we're hosting these shows and if we're putting out content for these communities, we really want to make sure that we have BIPOC leaders in place to help. And so the last thing I'll leave you with, I think my time is probably more than up. Is just I saw a really great tweet, and I just want to shout it out because I think it's a really important thing for all of us to think about in this time of COVID. So the person I saw that tweeted this was Moose Definitely. I don't know if that's the Derby name. It's at Moose_Def35. Great thoughts. But what she said, or they said, I'm not sure your pronouns. I want to stress, quote unquote, I want to stress that this season isn't lost. Might not be skating, but this season is important in how our sport moves forward. I would really just encourage everyone in our take a minute, really merit. So we are not skating, and sad is sad. And yes, it sucks to not be competing and skating with our friends. The work that we're finally getting to do as a for our most marginalized members, that is what we are winning this season. So really, when you're expressing all of these, emotions that you're having, feel all the feelings, of course, and make sure using your systems to talk through. Also recognize that voices that haven't been heard for a really long time finally getting the space, time, and platform to do some really critical work for our. So instead of thinking of the season as the lost season, think about this is the season where really truly our whole. And so I will leave you with that. Thank you so much. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you so much, Jumpy. We really appreciate you coming back on air. We know it's a busy Monday for you probably, but we really appreciate you coming back. This brings us to our main topic for this week, which is return to play. We want to hear your thoughts and feelings about the WFTDA guidelines for roller derby returning to play, roller skating outside of the derby context, and the responses to the roller derby community from the wider sporting world. If you would like to make your voice heard on this platform, please join in on Twitch and Discord. Please consider your audience when calling into the show and interacting on Twitch and Discord. Abusive language, which includes all racist, sexist, ableist, and other discriminatory language, will not be tolerated. With that, let's see. I don't think we have a caller yet.
Nope, we're going to take a few-minute break. And
okay.
Any callers out there, please click through, join the Discord, join us, and we'll be here right after this break. Hey!
So,
how's it going?
Pretty good. Not bad, not bad.
Really nice picking up there to close out with Jumpy. That was really good.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I'm glad we did that, and we should definitely continue to do that if it's like a thing that happens where there's like somebody like who we know will say something relevant and good.
Mm-hmm. When I come back from the break, I want to read the tweet from Mistress Mackie. Do you want to read that out?
Yeah, sure. She ditched class to join in, so like, I don't know how I feel about people ditching class, but also, whatever.
We appreciate all viewers.
Absolutely. Mistress Mackie. Is it Mackie or Mackie?
I'm going to go with Mackie.
Mackie? Mackie?
I don't know.
I don't know. Still no callers? Come on, folks. How about we're not reading anything off the Twitch chat unless they call in? This isn't read Twitch. Are people in there? That's, I guess, I don't know. 3 seconds. Welcome back. This week, our topic is return to play. So we're still waiting on some people to call in. But we did see that Mistress Mackie from which league is that from? Rip, I couldn't find
Sailor City Rollers in
Sailor
South
City,
America.
yes.
Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Nice. But yeah, Mistress Mackie said that she skipped class to watch this show, so I'm hoping that she'll call in.
Yeah, and apparently during our break, she was also tweeting that she was dancing to the community call-in intermission music. So thanks for watching. Feel free to call in and have your voice heard.
While we wait for a caller, we do have some more context to provide around our topic today. We've been seeing some more articles from mainstream media about the WFTDA's return to play policy, which was put together by a wonderful group of people who are medical professionals, public health professionals who also happen to be involved in roller derby. Enough so that we see that science fiction and writer Cory Doctorow went ahead to tweet, sports leagues are all over the world are wrestling with how and when to reopen. Mostly they're doing a terrible job with one amazing shining exception, roller derby. The WFTDA's guidelines developed by a group of athlete experts are amazing. We have provided the link there on the channel. I'm sure you can find it if you Google Cory Doctorow roller derby altogether. Maybe one day we'll get into a game. We also have an article from Wired Magazine. Christy Ashwandon writes, when the pandemic hit, the world of women's roller derby spun into action. On April 6th, the international governing body for the sport, the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, put out a call for public health professionals to come together and devise a plan. Michaela Kostick, derby name Bubble Wrath, a biostatistician at the University of New Mexico, heeded the call. So did Nikki McCorriston, derby name Trauma, an infection control nurse in Salt Lake City, and Bobby Jean Garcia, derby name BG Smack, an epidemiologist in Houston. In the end, close to 24 athlete experts from 6 countries collaborated on the sport's return to play guidelines. In recent weeks, as professional basketball and baseball, as well as college football, have bumbled through ill-considered efforts to reopen, it's clear the roller derby plan is worth a careful look. Experts in infection control say it's the best of its kind.
From Mashable, Just Joe writes, harkening back to images of romanticized Americana through the ages, the en vogue quad skating aesthetic that now dominates TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram is fueled by the nostalgia for bygone eras, from your parents' disco to your own childhood roller rink birthday parties. Like all resurrections of America's past, though, the online skating craze also comes with an undercurrent of racism and black erasure. As with so many popular trends, if you dig past the sea of predominantly white faces populating the 1.5 billion TikToks under the hashtag roller skating tag, you'll find the largely overlooked history of black communities that never let it go out of style in the first place. Twitter user Ace @CartTurtle writes, I have very little patience for people complaining about the return to play guidelines, especially watching cases skyrocket in Texas right now. I understand the frustration and the want, not need, to return to normal and skate, but your normal is actively endangering people's lives at the moment.
So we want to hear from you, our audience. We know there's some people hanging out in the public lobby. We know some people are on the Twitch chat. But we want to hear your voices. We want to know what your league is doing. What are you doing? You know, do you feel that the return to play guidelines serve your league? Is there anything new that you'd want to see or that hasn't been incorporated? Let us hear you.
We're here to listen. Going back to a Twitter post, Queen Luzia Tifa wrote, raising a glass today to our ankles, knees, and heads. Our hearts miss derby, but those other bits needed a break. Also, non-concussed brains will do the best work on developing the D&I policies our leagues need. We're still here for you to call in, provide us some of your voices. We've tried to elevate some that we found via social media. Use the hashtag #TalkToWFTDA or join the call. Be heard. On the screen, we're showing a WFTDA readiness map, self-reporting leagues from all over. This is information that WFTDA has been polling its members and publishing publicly to see where everybody is at, including the different return-to-play tiers. We can see some interesting developments over in Europe, where some leagues have progressed into tiers 1 and 2, whereas the majority in the United States are still in the baseline conditions not met phase. On the screen, we also have the updated COVID-19 recommendations that the WFTDA has been keeping up to date as they have new publications. This last publication was about just under a month ago on June 9th. It's at the resources.wftda.org website. We have a message from our Twitch lobby where there are some active viewers. The note is from D-Train. The fact that the WFTDA Return to Play plan was so warmly received is incredibly encouraging. The only real issue is that unlike almost all other sports leagues, the WFTDA can afford to put the welfare of skaters and fans first because there is not controlling profit motive that would force return to play before it's safe. So in that sense, the WFTDA has an advantage that the professional leagues do not. Thank you, D-Train. I believe we do have another caller getting set up with our producers. While we wait, our earlier caller, Jumpy, had posted in our text room here that returning to play is a great study in equity as well. For those who have health insurance, have remained employed, have childcare, returning to Derby may be less of a risk. For those who have experienced financial hardship or loss during this pandemic, returning to Derby is more of a risk. Thanks, Jumpy.
Also from the lobby there, Huevo from Buenos Aires, she says, I really appreciate the return to play plan. The only worry I have is about differences in government guidelines. Also something that I know, everyone will have to take into consideration.
All right. So our next caller is Scarlett O'Hurtia from Houston Roller Derby. Scarlett, you're on the air. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Scarlett.
How are you? I shouldn't mince words, I suppose. You guys are doing some great work here.
Oh, we're really glad. We're really happy to do the show, and we're glad you joined us.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out Discord, so apologies for the stumbling. But I kind of made my comment in the Discord chat room earlier. But I'm proud of the WFTDA's return to play plan, and as someone who is in Houston, Texas, currently, where we're kind of the new epicenter here in the U.S. And I know you know how huge the Texas Medical Center is, and to say that is overwhelmed right now, I cannot say enough wonderful things about the WFTDA taking the cautious approach and putting lives before laces. Not to overuse a hashtag, but I'm really proud of it, and I'm glad that so many people are picking up on what intelligent, capable professionals we have behind the skates. And I'm very, very happy that I get to call all of them colleagues.
Yes, definitely. I know some background. I used to skate with Houston Roller Derby. That's where I first learned to skate. So I've known Scarlett for a little while now. And I also knew BG Smack from my days back in Houston. Yeah.
Awesome. Scarlett,
Yeah, so
thank you so much.
the commentary
Oh.
about putting people over profits, I absolutely agree with what D-Train said earlier, that we have that luxury as a volunteer-run sport. Other sports may not necessarily have that capacity, and but it's nice to be setting the example for the rest of the sports in such a historic time.
Awesome. Scarlett, thank you so much for calling in and giving us your time today. Have a great evening. All right. Our next caller is Maki Nami from Sailor City Roller Derby. Maki Nami, you're on the air. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my god, I hear it like really, really low. But do I get it well on air?
Yeah, we can hear you
You
just
are on
fine.
the air.
Oh yeah, great. Okay, hi everyone. Good night, good evening, depending on what part of the world you are. Just wanted to chip in for the community call because regarding the guideline to go back to play, because I always felt that derby is this kind of sport where, at least in my personal experience, I've seen a lot of people just jumping back to the game with untreated injuries because they just can't stay away from it. And when COVID-19 hit, I was really scared about this because I was like, oh my God, people are just going to go back to train because they miss derby and they're not going to like take care of themselves. And I got really, really scared about that. I was like, I'm just terrified to know someone like actually like dying or getting sick for this. And I was just so happy when I saw the guideline come out, because it's like, we don't only have accessible information that is actually professional and puts like lives before laces, but we can also like hold each other accountable and take care of each other. And it just, yeah, that, and it came because I've seen so many skaters here in Argentina just like having to leave derby because they came back too early from their injuries, because they were like, I just can't wait, I want to go back to derby and I love it. And I was really scared with COVID-19 this also happening, but yeah, the guidelines are great and they really get the point across. Yeah, that's it. I'm really happy about them.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, Maki Nami, if I hope I said that correctly.
Yeah, just Maggie for short. But yeah, and thanks to the WFTDA and to you both for making this space. I love it. I ditched class for this and I am not even regretting it.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for the compliment for sure.
Anyway,
Great.
have a nice day, guys.
Have a good one.
You too.
I believe our next caller is our Why So Serious from Montreal Roller Derbies. Hello, Why So Serious? Welcome to the show.
Hey, I don't know if it's working.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, cool. Okay. And so I'm gonna try. So I'm gonna try to speak English first. If you don't understand, don't hesitate to tell me. So I have two questions. I'm sorry, if you didn't answer to this question. My first question is about like the competitions. I know that it's really hard to know right now, but are we going to know if the WFTDA wants to change like the dates of the season? I mean about like the competition. I don't know if it's clear, sorry. And if like there are gonna be any like tests or like question before like teams are coming back for a tournament or something like that. That was my first question. And then my second question is about I'm the head of the training committee of the league. And I was wondering what would you recommend, if it's better to tell the league that they have to go back on skate by teams before coming back as a league. But if anyone has any ideas to make sure that the leagues still exist. I hope my English was okay.
Your English is great. It really is. So to the first question, I know that the return to play protocol from WFTDA is pretty comprehensive. And I think any information around tournaments and things like that are going to be, put forward by the WFTDA through, their website, through Facebook, and those kinds of things. So I know that's the place to look for those particular answers. For the second one, as far as training goes, I know people are going to be held to maybe more local government standards. So again, looking for that information from your local government or from the WFTDA, even then, is probably going to be the way to go for that one. We also appreciate responses from the community using the hashtag #TalkToWFTDA on social media. And if you have seen the Twitch chat, maybe there are some people with some more answers to those questions as well.
Sirius, thank you so much for calling in today. We really appreciate the time and effort, as well as coming on the air to chat with us. All right, it looks like we've got one other caller ready to call in. Hello, Huevo. You're on the air from Sailor City Roller Derby. Hello, Huevo.
Do you hear me well?
Hello.
There you are.
Oh. I have this problem again. Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, I have some delay, sorry. One of the things I was thinking about when I read the plan was about the government guidelines, the difference we have between the countries. For example, the recommended amount of cases in the plan are way higher here than allowed here. For one of the numbers is 500 cases, and we are in that moment we were entering in the peak cases, the crest of the wave, and for us taking in account the government guidelines and the recommended numbers of cases for the plan, it's like we feel, at least I feel that we are going to get really, really behind the competitive season. And the difference in the government's decisions based on the cases is going to discourage a lot of play between the leagues from different areas. One of those areas is South America, because if you put together all the guidelines or the restrictions, I think this scenario is going to impact differently in our leagues that already need to spend a lot of money and travel a lot of kilometers to get there. So I think we need to think about our competitive season, considering the majority, but also what happened to the leagues that already are in the margins. that's my 2 cents. Sorry.
Thank you, Evo. Thank you so much for providing that perspective and your personal understanding. Thank you for calling in and lending your voice to the show.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a short break and be back with our next caller right after these messages. Welcome back.
Hey, welcome back.
Talk to
Welcome
WFTDA.
We gotta figure this one out.
We have delay.
Yeah, I know. So our next caller is Bia Nimble. Bia, you are on the air.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, lovely. I'm so happy. I'm happy that I got through. I was very nervous about the technical situation because I'm not super tech savvy. And this is just very exciting in general for me.
We appreciate you taking the time to figure it out and join us. Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. So I was just going to sort of call in and say how important and how grateful I am to the WFTDA for coming out with this return to play. I think that oftentimes as a sport, we get overlooked and sort of like the magnitude of intelligence and dedication to the sport that people who play roller derby and volunteer for roller derby have doesn't always get seen. And so this is like a really concrete moment where I think that it is being seen. And I just would call out to the roller derby community to keep sharing this like very big article in Wired magazine, because I think it is just the beginning of showing sort of the greater athletic world what we have to offer. I think we've done a ton of work around various pieces of like trans inclusivity. I know that we're working really hard on racial inclusivity, and I think it's really special that it's by volunteers and people that feel empowered and want to make a change. And I think that's really different. I can't remember who said it earlier, but we do have a little bit of a privilege here because we don't make money. I know that sounds really sort of counterintuitive. And I would love for people to source and think of ways that could be different. But because we don't make money, we do have the ability to take stands in ways that other athletes, particularly like minority, non-binary people can't. And I am very interested in the sort of merger of how those two things can interact, right? Like, so how can organizations make a statement even when money is at risk? And I'm just really thankful that the WFTDA did such great sourcing of the resources that are in the derby community in order to put forth this comprehensive plan that then thankfully got sort of seen by a high-level magazine and then retweeted by the New York Times, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very, I have a lot of hope. And I thank you for letting me speak to that.
Thanks, B. Thank you so much for calling in and telling us what you think. All right. We're nearing the end of our show. We've had a bunch of callers call in. As usual, this is only 1 hour throughout an entire week where we're providing a place for people to speak and call in. If there are topics that you are passionate about that you would like to call in and tell us about and voice your concerns and be heard, by all means, use the hashtag #TalkToWFTDA on Twitter or Instagram. Our production crew monitors those for any topics throughout the week. That's all the time we've got. Thank you to everybody who joined the stream, who called into the show today. Want to reiterate that this is a community show that relies on you, the viewer, to share your thoughts, and we look forward to listening to you all next week. If you'd like to join the WFTDA shows and content team, please email broadcast@quadmedia.tv and join our volunteer production crew. On behalf of Chai, myself, and all of our producers and people behind the scenes, thank you all and have a good night.